So there's two more that are kind of sometimes the forgotten, the redheaded stepchild's kind of thing, if you would, scenario of content and term. Can you talk
Yeah.
about maybe to content to start, Scott?
As we're just talking about this, I think the best way to talk about it would be to start talking about them together in terms of additional descriptors, because that's
Sure.
essentially what parameters are. UTM parameters individually are descriptors of the type of traffic. And so, if we look at it hierarchically, we have source, which is the platform. And then from there, it's what type of traffic. So let's just use Facebook. Facebook's the source. Then we have CPC for paid traffic. We have share would be a social post. And we might have Facebook referral, which we really haven't talked about yet, but that's also another type of a medium, which is we should talk about that real quick with referral. I think we kind of skipped over that one. But if referral comes through in medium, that's essentially saying, in the case of Facebook referral, this traffic's coming from Facebook, but it's not tagged. We don't know, was it paid or was it
Great point. Yeah.
was it a social share? So we've got source and we have medium for those types. And then we have the campaigns underneath, and we can have obviously a bunch of different campaigns for fewer mediums and then even fewer sources. That's not the best way to say it, but because there's not fewer mediums and sources, that arguably there'd be more mediums and sources, but just where's it coming from, and then splitting it up. When we get down to campaign, it gets a little bit wider, but then to add additional descriptors within that campaign, because each campaign, for instance in Facebook, you could have hundreds or thousands of different ads and ad sets that are going out there. So in terms of the term and the content descriptors, those or parameters, those can be used to add additional description to the ads that make up a given campaign. And specifically term, I recommend putting in the headline of the ad or the subject line of the email, because it allows you to kind of see what's grabbing the attention of the user. We're kind of going down, kind of starting from the top and filtering it down. Term would be the next thing, because that's in any given advertisement, by way of definition, the headline would be something that's prominently displayed. And so putting in the headline or the email subject line, which is essentially a headline in and of itself, and the term parameter allows you to see what type of headline messaging is working well across different traffic sources. And that can be a manual type of an approach, like all of this is, based on the way that you deploy UTM parameters. But at the same time, it's well worth the effort, because knowing those headlines and really what's pulling and what's capturing attention, and more specifically creating results, is just a huge benefit to any advertiser. Because when you see that this one email subject line is knocking the cover off the ball versus this other one isn't getting any clicks, you kind of know to do more of the type of headline that's working.
Totally.
And you can take that concept and push it across. If you see something working in active campaign particularly well, you might try that on Facebook or in other types of traffic platforms. Content is just another way to break down and add additional descriptors. So in Facebook, for instance, you might use content to clearly cite the creative. As well as
image or video or, right.
The image, the video. You might include, is the copy long or short? There's all different things that you can do with content, but at the very least, just putting in the creative, because that's obviously very, very important with any type of digital advertising. So term and content, just like to think, that's a long way to say, just think about them as individual descriptors that are subsets starting at the top from source, medium, campaign, term, and then content.
Yeah, I like how you broke that down at the end there. I was going to ask you, just to clarify, term is broader than content, it sounds like, with that structure of like headline and then beneath the
I like to think
obviously.
about it that. Yeah. And the reason why is that, for lack of a better reason, it's just that I think about saying it source, medium, campaign, term, content. So if I said
human beings, we like
term,
structure, right? Like we like to know how things fit. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think that's helpful to think about too. And one thing just as like maybe a tip for people that are we're always kind of looking to work with different ad agencies for the most part. I mean, it's very rare that you'll probably have the same ad agency for a decade or something like that. I mean, there's some great ones out there. I was going to say that if your ad agency doesn't have pretty strong opinions on UTMs, especially like this content and this term we're talking about, that might be a little bit of a red flag. Like they should tell you, or you shouldn't have a fight with your ad agency, like the measurement guy with the ad agency. You should just agree upon, yes, this would be the most useful. If they don't really have many opinions about that, a little bit of a red flag. They should really, because that's going to tell them, hey, we're going to be able to report on this that much better if they do have strong opinions about that.